Hey everybody, Craig here, CLP Bushcraft. So I'm out in the woods today and I want to make this video for y'all. So this video came to me, the idea of this video came to me while I was at Georgia Bushcraft last weekend. Georgia Bushcraft had its fall gathering last weekend, and me and my buddy Jonathan, the Bearded Burton, we had a booth set up where we had stuff that we had made, handmade, stuff, and then used gear that we basically have a surplus of, or we've used it and don't use it anymore, or stuff that we'd got and we really didn't like or whatever. So we were selling that stuff. So this idea kind of came to me. In this bushcraft realm, outdoor realm, whatever you want to call it, we are most time gear junkies. Okay, stuff comes along, new gear, and we're like, oh, we need that, and I know all of us are guilty of it. I know me, for one, sure am. So we'll see this new gear that we'll get, and we'll use it for a while, and stuff always evolves and changes, and stuff gets better and that kind of thing. So we wind up having a bunch of gear. But I got to thinking about the gear that I have that I use the most, like say the tools that I use the absolute most, and the gear that I use every time basically I come out into the woods. So I got thinking about it, I thought, that would be kind of a cool video to do, to show y'all what stuff that I basically use 95% of the time when I come out in the woods. And this really don't change, this gear. It's pretty much the same gear and the same tools. So stick with me. I'm gonna find my spot, and we'll show you what stuff I use the most. See you in a minute. So here I'm at my spot, and before I sit down, I got to show you the first piece of gear that is always used over here when I come out in the woods, and that is my Pacific Northwest Bushcraft little set cloth. And what this is it's got a flannel top on it, and then on the back is the wax canvas material that they use for their most of the gear that they make. But this thing works tremendously. If the ground is a little bit damp, I put this down, I can sit down, and my bottom stays dry. I actually reached out to Heather, and because my colors, I love black and green. That's pretty much what all my stuff is. That's just me. I like the black and green combo. So I asked her, I'm like, hey, can you special make one of these for me in black and green? And she knocked it out of the park with this one. And it is well used and loved. Love this piece of gear, and it stays at the very top of my pack. So the first thing when I put my pack down, I open it up and I get this out. So it's the first piece of gear that's always used. So normally when I get over to my spot, I'll take my gear out, and like I say, use sit pad first. Well, one thing that I really enjoy is coffee, and I really enjoy making coffee while I'm out in the woods. So this brings us to my next piece of gear. This is the Wood Knot Gear coffee press, and you can see it's been well used and loved and been in several campfires. And what it is just a titanium cup. This is their 900 mil version. They have a 750 mil version too. You got a titanium lid, and then you got the little grill deal here, mesh that keeps out all the grains, so you can press it. So you boil your water, put your coffee in, let it set, and then you just press it. And the little knob here, you can take it off. Normally I always keep it off. That way you can press it and it goes all the way to the bottom. But really used piece of gear. And the other is this little titanium alcohol stove. A lot of times I don't feel like just building a fire over here, so I'll just keep some alcohol, and it all stores inside this cup. I can keep everything in it, and keeps a little bit of coffee, and then the alcohol I just keep in just one of these little small plastic bottles, and it'll all nest inside of this. But yeah, so I'll take and fire up the little alcohol stove and boil me up some water and make me some coffee. So there's several different coffees that I use from over here. I'll either have already ground me up some coffee and just put it in one of these little bags, or I'll use some of the pour over Kuju, or some of the Steep Bushcraft Coffee Company, the Steep packs. So the titanium coffee cup and the stove, that brings me to the next thing of gear that I always use, and that is I need water while I'm over here. So a lot of times I will carry, depending on what I'm doing, how long I'm gonna be over here, I'll carry a canteen with me, just a titanium canteen or titanium bottle or whatever. But that's not always the case. I don't always have that, and I don't always use it. But this I do. And what this is the titanium Grail. This is the Grail water filter, and it's the titanium version, and this is their the ultralight one. I can't remember which one this is called. It's not the biggest, not the GeoPress, but it's the one under it. But it's titanium, and the way this works, if you've never used a Grail, you put water, which I have used it already, but you put water, dirty water, whether it's in a creek or lake or whatever, you scoop it out and put it into this. And I've got just little ways west of me, there is a spring-fed creek that I always get water out of. So you put water in this, and then here is your filter system here, and you make sure the lid is unscrewed a little bit, and then you just press. Press it down, and this filter has been used quite a bit. I probably need to get a new one. But now everything inside of that cylinder is drinkable water at that point. It's been filtered. So I will fill up normally in the creek and wind up putting it in here to get my water hot for my coffee. So I always use this while I'm over here. I always got it with me. And then I got this little Wazo Gear titanium cup that's don't weigh hardly nothing, and it nests right on top of that, so that gives me an extra cup. And then this is made by Campcraft Outdoors, and it's just like a cotton bag, and you can actually pre-filter with it. So if the water is pretty sandy or it's got a lot of debris and leaf litter and stuff like that in it, you can actually dip it out with this and then pour it into your bottle. Let it filter through this into your bottle, and it'll save the life of your filter. So one very simple but extremely useful item that I always use over here, whether I use it to clean out my coffee press after I'm done, or to dry my hands, or to wipe sweat out of my face, or whatever, is a bandana. And I have several of these. These are the Wazo Gear bandanas. This is their tracking bandana. It's really cool. It's got a lot of different tracks from North American animals on it. And this one is their foraging bandana, which is really cool because it's got a lot of different medicinal plants on it, ranging from dandelions to turkey tail to all kinds of different things. So very useful, to identify plants, that kind of thing. But I mainly use it to wipe my hands, to wipe sweat, to cleaning, doing dishes, whatever. But it's always with me, one or two of them at least. Most time in my pocket, or for sure in my pack. Maybe more than likely one in my pocket, one in my pack. But extremely easy, simple gear, but very, very useful and always used. So when I come over here, I'm always using a knife and saws and that kind of thing. Whether, I'm wanting to sit over here and carve and make something like this primitive hand reel, or make primitive fish hooks, or whatever it may be, I've always got a knife. And the knife that is always on my side when I'm over here, 99.9% of the time, is this one. And if you know me and follow me, you know which knife this is. But this is the LT Wright Knives Genesis model. And this is a special edition knife. It is the Bearded Mouse. It's a collaboration knife between Jonathan Burton, the Bearded Burton, and Larry Roberts, who was on 2 seasons of Alone. Him and Larry got together and was talking about wanting to do a collab knife. And they come up with this one. It's in 52-100 steel, which is the only knife from LT shop that's been made in 52-100 steel. It's got black micarta scales with OD green liners, and it's my absolute favorite. Jonathan wound up seeing it, guy selling it on the Pout House. And there's another reason. If you are not a Pout House member, there's a forum on the Pout House that's the Barter House, where people post knives and stuff like that they sell. So it's a buy and sell and trade forum that no telling what you might find on there. So people that's like, we got this knife, we can't get it because it's a special edition. Well, if you join the Pout House, that's your biggest asset to be able to find one like that. If you get on there and search the Barter House for stuff, because you never know what people might be posting up to sell. But anyway, I use this knife all the time. It's my absolute favorite knife, and I've got it in one of LT's Kydex sheaths with a sharpener here, and then one of LT's ferro rods here, which is another item that's always used over here when I'm making a fire. I normally 99% of the time just use the ferro rod. So the LT Wright Knives Genesis is my main used belt knife. As far as my neck knife, I normally always have this around my neck. It is the Woods Monkey Kerf Carver, and this one has been well used. There's been a lot of stuff carved with this knife. It's in 52-100. I'm sorry, not 52-100. It's in ABL steel, and it is razor sharp, extremely comfortable in hand on carving stuff. I absolutely love it. And again, I got it in one of LT's Kydex sheaths, and I just wear it as a neck knife. So as far as the small and medium knives, that's what I always use and have over here. As far as a big knife, it's going to be the regulator from LT Wright Knives. And as you can see, it's been well used and loved. It's in 01 steel, Scandi. They make two versions of it. They make a Scandi and they make a flat grind. It's got rich light handles, and the handle on this is a copy of LT's framing hammer that he used to use when he did carpenter stuff. So it's extremely comfortable handle. It's beefy. And as far as a camp knife, chopping knife, this is basically my favorite one to use. Another main used knife that's always with me over here is the LT Wright Knives machete. It's the overland machete. Got some rust there I need to get rid of. But I live over here in East Texas, and greenbriers are everywhere. So this is a well-used tool for me over here to clear out greenbriers. And then again, it is in an LT Kydex sheath. And what's really cool about the way they do the Kydex sheaths on these is they leave the top part open here, and you can actually use it as a draw knife to draw like tinder off of like a cedar tree or something like that. But yeah, very useful tool, especially here in East Texas. So another cutting tool that I always have with me and use over here is my Gramfors Brooks outdoor axe. And I'm not a big axe person as far as I gotta have an axe all the time. I very rarely use a bigger axe, but this little axe here is an amazing little axe for stuff I do over here, whether I'm using it to carve, which is mainly the use for when I'm carving, like if I'm carving a spoon or something to remove, large portions of the wood. I'll use the axe with it. I was actually using it to shape down some bone the other day for a fish hook, trying to trim up that. But if I'm having to put in stakes for, if I'm putting up a tarp or something like that, this works amazing for that as a hammer. But yeah, the Gramfors Brooks outdoor axe is a smaller little axe, kind of more of a tomahawk size, but extremely useful, and it's always in my pack, and I use it quite a bit while I'm over here. So the last tool that I have is nothing that I bought, but something that I made, and it's a mallet. And I use this quite often when I'm over here, as far as processing up firewood or splitting up wood that I need to use that I'm carving with, to get what I'm carving with, just whatever. A mallet is a very useful, handy tool to have. I think this one is elm, is what I made it out of. But I've made several of these and throughout the years, and they'll last for a good while, and then finally they'll bite the dust, and you just have to make you another one. But if you've never made a mallet, here on LT's channel, Craig Cottle has a video on how to make one of these. It's this really good video. You can check it out. But yeah, mallet is another very useful tool that I use over here quite often. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I say, these items are my most used gear and tools. And like I say, I don't normally always carry, over here the Silky Katana Boy on me, but it's in my truck. I always drive over. We got 70 some odd acres of land, and I'll drive in a little ways and park, and then have to cross the creek and come over here to where I like to get in the woods and get to my spot and stuff. So like I say, I always have like that with me. The machete, I may or may not have it, in the pack or on the pack, but it's always with me. And same goes for the regulator. But they're the most used tools that I use over here in the woods. Like I say, the filter, it pretty much gets used every time I come over here for water. I might actually leave the house and just put water in it, or I might wind up, sometimes I will bring, canteen with me. It just depends, but always the filter. And like I say, I always like making coffee over here, unless it's 110 degrees, and I really don't want any hot coffee then. But anyway, this is the most used gear that I use while I'm over here, and it really hasn't changed. I mean, this is my favorite gear to use. Like I say, the junction pack that I use, it's the same pack too. But it's used also, but basically used to carry the stuff over here. But anyway, I just wanted to share this with y'all. I thought about it while I was at Georgia, about gear and thinking about stuff, and I thought, you know what, like the most used gear would be kind of a cool video to show y'all. So if you like what you see here, hit that like button. Me and several of the other LT Right Now's ambassadors, we like to get out in the woods and make content for them. They make amazing knives, and it's hard for them to get out in the woods and show off the stuff, so we're doing that for them. That's where we like to get out and use their products and show them off, the stuff that we love. So if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification to let you know when we've posted new videos. If you got any questions, comment down below. If you like the video, just let us know. Give us a thumbs up. Hey, we really like it, and we keep on doing what we love out here in the woods and showing you guys what we do and what we use and that kind of thing. So we'll see you on the next video. Y'all take care.